It's confirmed. Democrats hate Cubans, possibly Haitians as well. Cubans, for the most part, vote, I think the number was like 58% of all Cubans vote for Republicans. And then the number gets lower because some of them vote, 10, 15% will vote, both sides. So they're like in the middle. And then you got the rest of that equation voting liberal, Democrat, socialists. So why doesn't the potato administration want Cubans to come across? This is exactly what it is. They don't want them leaving Haiti. They don't want them leaving Cuba for one reason and one reason only: how they vote. See, if the Cubans voted the correct way, according to the liberal socialist Democrats, they would allow them. They would allow them by the truckload or the boatload. That'd be fine for them. But since they don't vote the correct way, Democrats don't want you here. They only want people from Central and South America who vote the proper way, or they say it. So, in other words, you could say the Biden administration is very racist against Cubans and possibly Haitians. Just on that. Because Mayorkas, whoever that clown is, I think the Homeland Security, stated this: "The time is never right to attempt a migration by sea. To those who risk their lives doing so, this risk is not worth taking. Allow me to be clear. If you take to the sea, you will not come to the United States." Oh, okay. Sounds pretty racist to me. Why is it just come by the sea? But you can hop the fence in Texas, right? If you're Mexican or Central South American, right? That's fine, because you're going to vote the correct way. But you pesky Cubans, you stay in your third world shithole. You just stay there. You stay. Stay, Cubans. Stay. Quédate. Quédate. Interesting. You see, that is not so much of a broad stroke to brush across Democrats. They're racists. Every time they accuse everyone else of being a racist, they're the actual racist. Democrats will only accuse you of stuff they're doing themselves. Flat out, 100% across the board. So we have that. And he's basically saying, here at the bottom, it says, some Republicans, including Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, have expressed concern that the Cuban government will begin to encourage a mass migration into the United States, as it did in 1994, when Cuba last saw a large scale of protests. However, U.S.-Cuba experts say the level of migration by sea is less likely to happen this time around, given that Washington no longer has the immigration policy in place that welcomes Cubans when they reach the U.S. soil. Which they should, but they don't, unfortunately. But continuing on here, well, this NPR article you see here says how Cuba protest reveals Biden's political challenges in South Florida. You see, even here they agree that if done correctly, the Biden administration, quoted from this lady here, has itself a political gift from the gods. But they can't do it because they don't vote the correct way, said Fernand Almondi, a Democratic pollster in Florida who has encouraged Biden to visit Miami and speak directly with the Cuban American community there. See, the Biden administration right now isn't really saying anything and or doing anything. If they did something, they would get a boom of support, even from the Cuban community. But the Biden administration cannot do that. What he's basically doing, what this lady's saying, is what he's doing is basically says, but if he takes a more passive wait and see behind the scenes approach, I think it'll be both a policy and political opportunity lost that may cement some of the negative impressions around the Democratic Party. No, they're not impressions. They're the truth. The Democratic Party is basically basically, if you want to see what happens in the United States if the Democrats take control for a long period of time, look at Cuba. Look at Cuba. Yeah, look at Cuba. That's all you need to know. If you want the United States to end up like Cuba, keep voting Democrats in. Keep doing it. I'm not saying the Republicans are any better. They are, because they're not socialist douchebags for the most part. But it's like, I know what you're saying. Well, you can't be voting for the lesser of two evils. Yeah, yes, you can. Yeah, you can. I'm going to be voting for the lesser of two evils every time. So, in Miami, hundreds of Cuban Americans rushed to Little Havana on Sunday in solidarity and to cheer on what saw as the beginning of the end of the communist leadership. We can only hope. The city's mayor, Francis Suarez, called on the Biden administration to take action. He actually said a lot more things on Fox and Friends, I think, this morning, but he says, this has been happening for far too long, the international community ignoring what's happening in Cuba. The United States and the international community must do something. Now, he even talked about airstrikes, which I don't know if that's a correct way to go here. However, it's something. It's something. What is the Biden administration doing? Not a goddamn thing. And they won't do anything. And it goes on to say, Biden lost the 2020 election by huge margins. And Florida was supposed to be a swing state. Not anymore. Things didn't go well for Biden. He lost the state to former President Donald Trump, who helped out by the significant gains in Miami-Dade County, a Democratic stronghold was where most residents are Hispanic. For years, Cuban-American voters in Florida have been trending more Democratic, but in recent years, the voting bloc had increased its support for Donald Trump. That's correct. I don't necessarily agree that it's trending more Democratic, but I used to live in Florida. Let me tell you something. Floridians and Cubans down there, they don't like socialism at all. Maybe some do, but they keep it quiet because there's some old, padre down there, has had families, came across the strait there, he's been there for, 30, 40 years, and just, I guarantee that he busts out the chancleta and smack the shit out of his, grandson and goes, yeah, Florida, communism's good. Listen here, motherfucker, shut the fuck up. Cállate, motherfucker, cabrón. That will happen. They don't like communism down there. Some do, I get it. Most don't. This week, Republicans like Senator Mark did not waste any time criticizing Biden for failing to describe the Cuban government as socialist or communist. That's because they like them, Mr. Rubio. Of course you know that. Because they enjoy socialism. It keeps those pesky, that really awesome voting bloc in Cuba locked down. They don't want them coming to the United States. No, sir. Because it'll change the voting demographic a lot. He called on the Biden to take concrete steps to help protesters, including to set up free satellite internet access and working with allies in the region and the European Union to coordinate a strong rejection and condemnation of the repressive actions taken by the communist regime against the unarmed people of Cuba. And we see that right now where a news reporter in Cuba was arrested, essentially, right on TV in front of like a Spanish language TV or Spain proper TV host was interviewing this woman, and she was arrested right in front of him pretty much. And there was a guy that was shot by security forces. Probably a lot more people are being killed and or disappeared right now. And he says, we should make clear nothing from the Trump-era policy is going to change, Rubio said Monday on the Senate floor. There's nothing going to be any sanctions change as a result of this. On the contrary, I hope the Biden administration will now announce they have finished their review of the Cuba policy and everything that's in place will stay in place. And of course, the White House is taking its sweet-ass time and a cautious approach. Why? Do something, you goddamn piece of shit. So far, the administration has been really walking on eggshells when it comes to Cuba policy. Gadan said. And here's where I somewhat agree with this. Unfortunately, the perceived muted response so far of the Potatoes White House has fueled a disinformation campaign, Gadan said, and leads to the caricaturing, whatever, of the Biden administration as somehow not aggressively defending human rights and democracy. They're not. They actually. I saw this, and I have to confirm this. But I want to say Biden agreed of how censorious the Chinese are with their internet. I want to do a story on that, but I really want to dig deep in that, make sure it's correct. Imagine that. A sitting U.S. president who is in charge of a Republican form of government, likes the way China, curbs dissent and censors stuff on the internet. And that, my friends out there, is all you need to know about who the Democrats really are and who they really support. They don't support Cubans because they don't vote the way they want them to. And they don't want to do anything to help Cuba out, which they should, but they won't because they're racist.